Well, good morning, magandang umaga, magandang hapon, and magandang gabi from different places around the world. Everybody that's tuning in with us here this morning on our first ever live cast using StreamYard software that is becoming very popular here days. I want to thank everybody who's already tuned in, took the time to come in early. I see we have property owners here, upcoming people who are going to be building our community. I see some bought property. I see people from the UK. I think it may be 2 a.m. in the morning in the UK. I see people from down in Australia. I see people everywhere around the world. So thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us here. I think we're going to have a very interesting video, very interesting live stream for you guys today. Again, this is our first. If you like this, maybe we'll continue. We'll make this a regular feature of my PI Dream. Now, I was going to do the stream from outside with the beautiful back, the coconut trees and the Baje Cubo, but we have some construction going on in the neighborhood, and you can hear it's kind of a little bit of an annoyance. Tried out yesterday. Plus, I noticed that the lighting isn't exactly right. So I hope that we can overcome some obstacles here this morning. I know I had some testing issues, and I got with some of the folks this morning. I don't know, Ness, is the audio coming through okay? Yeah. Okay, Ness on my side over here. Ness, she is the moderator, as many of you probably already know, because she's inside the chat room with you. So anyway, we have a great lineup of guests for our first show on My PI Dream. I think you're going to really enjoy today's episode. I also think you're going to know both of our guests that we have this morning, right? Because well known in respective areas in the Philippines and in the U.S. And we'll try to continue doing something like this later on. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and get into our first guest. We're going to introduce him in a moment. So let's go ahead. What I'm going to start, I'm going to do his lead-in from his channel. Both of our guests are vloggers, and we're attempting to do here is do a collaboration, so to give exposure to other people who I think have some real interesting channels and are really interesting people in my humble opinion. Okay, so let's start. I have to queue up, so you're going to have to excuse me for a moment. Again, I am in a what I can say is I'm the producer, I am the cameraman, I am a little bit of everything in this. What I am going to do, I am going to try to attempt to bring on our next with his intro to his channel. So let's try this right now.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming to my channel. My name is Bud Brown. I'm living here in Dumaguete City with my wife, Gloria, and our two dogs, Maleo and Molly. We've been here a few years, and this channel is about just my life here. So I want to welcome you to my channel. I do have some pretty good adventures periodically.
Okay, all right, let's go ahead and bring in the infamous Bud Brown, Bud Brown from inside the Philippines. I got to tell you, Bud, I'm so happy to have you here on my channel this morning. As you know, you and I tried to do a collaboration back in 2018. Anyway, before we talk about that little thing, let's go ahead and get into you a little bit. Do you want to say anything? Start going to like a question.
Well, thanks for inviting me. This is it's a real honor for me to be on your channel. This is only the second time I've done a live stream, and I'm always nervous about what I'm going to say. But then, in the end, my advice when you're starting something new is, just like getting on a high dive. It's just that first step, that's so scary. After that, everything will be okay.
Yeah, it is. Well, I got to tell you, I watched it last night. Your live stream, because you told me when I gave the information. Well, when I invited you in on the channel, I spoke with you, and you said, oh, you were going on another one of the vloggers here inside the Philippines. So I went to you had the link, and I went back and looked at it. I got to tell you, you look so very comfortable and natural inside, and I got one of the main reasons I include people like you in our channel, and why I want you here is because you have a really great attitude. I love your attitude, and something. Remember when we spoke before, back in 2018, we had some long dialogues back and forth via email, going back and forth. And one of those that struck me that you said is you were talking about my channel, and I'm talking about your channel, about how we play the Philippines, and we show the culture. That's our goal. We try to show the real things of what it's really like living here, so people can get real and true feeling. And one thing that you said to me, you get it. Not many people get it, the understanding it really is like to be here inside the Philippines, and I thank you for that statement very much. But anyway, you looked really comfortable. You looked like you were really having a good time on your lives. Tell me a little bit. How did that all come about?
Well, actually, I'm born and raised in Central California, way back in the 40s. I wouldn't know a Filipino if they come and bit me on the nose, I didn't know Filipino. What's that? And then when I joined the Navy in boot camp, there was these little brown, bald, everybody was bald, of course, in boot camp. And I asked another guy there, I said, what's the Viet Cong doing here? He said, what's that Viet Cong? He said, that's Filipinos. Because they could join the Navy at that time. And I said, Filipinos? What's that? He said, well, they're from Philippine Islands there. I said, oh my gosh. And their language, it sounded like a machine gun, That's all. That was fascinating.
I got to say, one thing I also really admire about you is your ability to do lunch. Now, I think, if I remember correctly, some of your earlier videos, because I've been watching you for a really long time. Before I even considered being here, literally, before I started my channel, you kind of inspired me a bit when you were over here to actually get the channel started, because we set a place setting back in 2016. I was way out in the day somewhere, sitting in a tiny cubicle. I said, well, when I wanted to set up a channel, the reason I wanted to set up a channel is doing research. I wanted to know, how do you build? And 2016 and prior, it was so difficult. It was so difficult to get good content, details, how to DIY, so that you could take that information and be successful doing it. So I decided I would set that up. But again, it's supposed to be one of these kind of things where maybe once a week, maybe I'll just do some up on my build or like that. But I made a mistake. I made a tremendous. I started doing this episode thing, and every episode was a build day. And I don't know if you remember from my very beginning, I would do the intro. Yeah, I would say today's episode. And today is build day, whatever, coincided with the episode. So after about 2 weeks, I said, good. I locked myself into this. I have to do every single day. So I did, but it ended up being very successful because if you follow it, you details from day to day to day because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the beginning. Well, anyway, you inspired me, and I said, actually, there were two people. I followed you quite frequently, and I followed a Filipino, Mikey Busto. He was actually my first.
Funny.
Mikey was my first. He was my very first experience to YouTube. Ness.
Okay.
Ness turned me on to Mikey. She said, "You gotta watch this guy. He is so funny, and he does. He's a comedy genius, and he's gone a long way, as you see. Actually, he's like syndicated and sponsored. But you know what? You remember." I invited you to go to that YouTube collaboration event up in Manila.
The stars didn't line up on that deal.
Yeah, GBC. Up like a date, but but no, I know you had a good excuse. I think you were doing either your visa or your passport, doing something that you had to. I remember the reason why, but it was really good, and that's where I got to meet Mikey, and Mikey and I sat to the side. It's in the video. We did a video for that YouTube collaboration event that shows everything. And I was surprised because remember, I emailed you and I said, "Hey Bud, did you get the invite to the collaboration event from me?" And you're like, "No, I didn't get the invite."
No.
You said, "You got it?" I said, "Well, so if anybody got an invite, I guess we have the invite." I was living here by myself at the time, so I said, "You're allowed yourself plus," and I said, "Who would I want to go? Who would I with me?" And you're my number one pick, so, but you weren't available. So anyway, so much of that. So anyway, I'm doing what I normally do. I kind of go off into a tangent, and I apologize for that. So I want to get you.
Join the club.
I want to get you.
Mr. Rambling.
But you know what? I love, and I think that's what people like about type of vlogging. The ramblings, you end up getting stuff inside there that's unexpected. You never know what's going to happen.
That's right.
Talking about language, talking about skills, and I went totally off in another direction. I'm sorry, but I want to understand a little bit more about your background. I come from California, but you were a teacher before, weren't you?
Right. I taught public schools, 6th grade. So the 6th graders, and actually they're in the central San Joaquin Valley, large agricultural area, and most of the farm workers were from Mexico. So consequently, their children went to my school and schools in that area. So back up just a couple of steps. After high school, my folks sent me to Mexico, Guadalajara, to learn Spanish. Well, by the time I walked back to the States, they couldn't get rid of me. By the time I walked back, not really, but I went to school there and I learned Spanish. And so by the time I was teaching, my Spanish was, okay. So I got to communicate with these kids and their parents during parent conference time. So, I've always been interested in languages. So and then I went into the Navy, and the fellow there said, "Hey, if you're interested in languages, you should go apply for the Defense Language Institute, DLI, in Monterey, California. It's a language school." Yeah. So I did, and in boot camp, they give you aptitude tests, what you're good at and what I'm not good at. So they said, "You qualify to go to the language school. And here's 30 languages. What's your first 3 choices?" And anybody who's been in the military will know that's what they call a dream sheet. Yeah, you put what you want. So I said, "All right, French, German, and Spanish." And then next week, here's your orders. 47 weeks of Vietnamese. What? I didn't put down that, but they needed Vietnamese interpreters. So, and then here's a good life lesson I learned. I was a little bit, I like languages, but I don't want to study a little podunk language only used in one country. Vietnamese.
Unless you live there.
Well, right. Well, the future, had plans for me. So I rather grudgingly, took the whole year studying Vietnamese, and then I got sent there, and that's when I really, picked it up and found it really useful. And then I got out in '75, and I was looking for a job in 1975. I don't know if you remember that or not, but that was when the boat people, the United States and other countries, were just flooded with Vietnamese refugees. And then the word came out, is there happens to be anyone here that speaks Vietnamese? I do. Well, that was my first job teaching English to the refugees. So, you never know. You never know what the future holds.
You never know. But, I think everybody's brain is developed differently. Now, you have the ability to learn, and you learn very quickly languages. I've noticed that, and that's what you kind of talk about on some of your videos. You have people who are artists, you have people who are mathematicians, you have all these people, have all these, and it's a part of the brain that I still have a part of my brain that is actually stronger than, and they're all in the low-level area, I believe in. But
I can see that you're a planner, you're a researcher, and you plan things. I wish I had that ability.
I do, and that was, and that was a portion of my last that I had was a systems engineer. I was a systems engineer and an integration engineer. And I will tell you, one of the best free tools out there on the market is Google. Google saves me all the time. There's so much information out there. You can collect all bits of information. You can put them all together, and you can be successful. But I wish I had your skill set. Now, we are 3.5 years into our channel here. I think we around December, January of 2017, something like that. So we are into our third year, and I've never really done something. So I'm going to reveal some stuff here. So you're kind of revealing. You're being a little bit open about some of my background too. I'm actually a retiree of the Air Force itself. And you were talking about DLI. Well, when you go through basic training, and you put down what job your dream sheet for, you have you have it for assignments, and you also have it for your job, your very first time it works like that. I actually wanted to do air traffic controller. That's what I wanted.
Oh,
but
wow.
The ATC field. It was stressful, and I'm kind of glad I didn't do it because of that. Because I don't really. That's one of the reasons why Philippines wanted to get away from all that stress.
There you go.
But when you're young, you think you can take the world. You can take the world, right? So anyway, the ATC field was full. It was booked up, and what my guy came and they talked with everybody. Your jobs that you put in for, and when you do it, and they came to me and they said, well, you can step in to the ATC position, but it's been booked up for so long because everybody wants the job. You will go into, there was a status that they called it, but basically you have to sit there, and it was like you would have, because it's 6 weeks. Well, it was. I don't know if it is now. Back in the day. Weeks of basic training that I had down in Lackland Air Force Base in Texas, good old Texas. And then they told me, well, if you want this job, you have to spend 6 more weeks in basically a casual staff. You wait till the next slot in school. But it's like they have these great deals for you if you will take any of these other positions, and they showed me some that were open. So they showed me one of them. I liked technical stuff. Even ATC was technical. I like that. I like the. But one of the other career fields that was open right now, and I was tired of basic training. I wanted to get out of basic training, as we normally all do. One of the jobs was NDI, NDT, non-destructive inspection, non-destructive technology. It was interesting aircraft, radiography, ultrasonics, pension, stuff like that. So that was my first job. So I did, but had I gone into DLI, I would have gone down to Monterey also. They had me scheduled for that. I'm locked up, bud. Is he locked up on yours? Oh, we have a lockup here. Bud. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna wait for him to come back in. I don't know if it's on his end or mine. I see okay. So I have what I call a gray room. I don't really know if it's really called gray room or not. If you're on the Tonight Show, for the people who remember Johnny Carlson, that's the only one I can relate to. Oh, I lost Bud. He can check in. Technical difficulties here. So anyway, I have somebody stand by inside the gray room. I'm going to bring him in. This is going to be our second guest while we wait Bud again. And okay, well, I'm going to bring him in. But before I bring him in, I'm going to do the same thing with our second guest, like it with our first guest. And now we're going to get. I see there are tons of comment section. I'm going to try to address some of those. I will do my best. So go ahead and queue up. Let me queue up our second his actual intro to his, and it goes something like this.
Welcome to another episode of Rycote Drone Solutions. Hey, speaking of the Philippines, we have
this came
James from my MPID.
I was a guest with Art.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, greeting, guys.
James.
I don't know, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Well, now I gotta say Magandang Umaga.
That's right, Magandang Umaga from here, and I guess it's Magandang Gabi at your area, huh? It's in the evening
that's
time?
Right.
Oh, my wife still refuses to teach me Tagalog.
Okay, I'm gonna bring Art in. You got audio, Art?
Yep, I hear you. Yep.
Okay. Well, I keep seeing a lot of comments about my audio copy. Again, I apologize for that. It was hit and miss, like I said. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You try to get by on this one and find out what the problem is for the next stream. Anyway, welcome, Art. Welcome to. You were actually the first person I thought about when I was going to do the live. You and Bud, but you, because you invited me several times. I think I made it one time on yours, but for introduction, this is Art Carlson, and he does a own show, and it's weekly. I do it, and I think you call it Saturday
Night Live. Yep.
Okay, talk a little bit about your show. Talk just a little bit about your show.
Okay, I do a drone show called Rycote Drone Solutions, and my channel is about drones. And I do drone reviews, drone tech, action cameras, and then I do a live stream show on, Saturday here in the States at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. on the West Coast, and 7 p.m. on the East Coast, and 7 a.m. in the Philippines on Sunday.
Well, Art, thank you so much for on the show today. I got to tell you, I'm going to tell you again. The last time you invited me on your show, and I showed up on your show. By the way, that was an impromptu. What Art does, Art has a little bit different of a strategy than I do, and it's kind of cool. What he does, he sends out the link to his show for guests to like everybody. And I don't know everybody because I think because we're using the free version because you can see the powered by stream up there.
Mm-hmm.
Was it up to six people you can have or something like that? Yeah.
Yep,
yeah.
up to 6.
Up to 6. And what Art does, it's really quite interesting. Art sends the link out to several people, and he always sends it to me. And what he does, if you pop into his live stream, he invites you, brings you right into the live stream, and he has some very interesting people that come inside there. I'll leave it at that about the pretty interesting and I keep getting showing me that I have some muffled sound, and I apologize for this audio. I will try to work on that in upcoming episodes. I actually have, and I have this really the blue mic. It's the rated USB mics. I don't know what the problem is here. So,
is it a USB mic?
USB, yes.
Okay. Down below, you'll see a gear that says camera, mic. You click on that, and you should go over to audio.
I'm not going to do it.
All right, but just to let you know. But I have something special for you, James. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear James. Happy birthday to you.
Maraming salamat. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anyway, I wasn't going to this stage but since you did that, as you know, on My PI Dream, we like to celebrate really special times with people. And it was supposed to be a secret. Spoiler, Art, but thank you very much. We do birthday and anniversaries, and are a Filipino and a OFW. Well, it doesn't matter if you're a Filipino. If you're an OFW, somebody considered an overseas foreign worker, and you're doing stuff to family either back here in the Philippines or wherever your family is around the world, we do shout outs on My PI Dream. We feel it's special. Everybody has a special time in life. And I want to do, since Art just brought it up, we're going to do a couple of birthday shout outs. Actually, with me, so there's 2 other ones besides me. Anyway, one of our time subscribers, and he's in the chat. I see him right now, and he's talking, and we're going to get to the chat, and I'm going to try to address some of the questions in the chat. I've asked the moderator to kind of pull some stuff over to the side, so we'll get an opportunity to talk with all of you. But we're going to do a couple of birthday shout-outs. Anyway, Steve Mouse has a channel, and his family has property up in Cagayan, Isabela de Oro, one of those Cagayan places way up in Earth on the island of Luzon, and Steve actually, Steve was an OFW. Even though he's American, he was an OFW overseas, providing support back into his family in the Philippines and back in the U.S. where they are right now, because he can't get into the Philippines. But anyway, not Steve's birthday. It's actually his son, his eldest son. Emmy is turning 14 today on his birthday, which is the same birthday as mine for August 22nd. And we have another shout out, and the other birthday shout out is for, I know I'm not going to pronounce it right, because it's from somebody from Iceland that has funny sounding kind of names. I have problems speaking English names, but the Icelandic name is Angrimur. I hope I sound that right, but he said, I'm going to be easy on you, James. I'm going to give you my nickname, and it's Addy. Addy. Well, anyway, Addy is celebrating his 45th birthday today. He's trying to send his wife back from Iceland back over here to the Philippines to start a business early before they retire here in just a few years. He said he's really excited about getting back over here out of that cold weather in Iceland, where it's been like we do here, 305 days of the year of beautiful, beautiful weather here. So see if I can do this. To all of the people who are having birthday today, I want to all happy birthday. Ness, can you say happy too? So anyway, my moderator here. Happy birthday to everybody whose birthday is today.
Happy birthday! And happy birthday.
Thank you. Okay, so I don't know what's happening with Bud. I would love to get back in because there were some questions that I wanted to ask him. But again, you are the expert. Let me look. I'm going to go quickly. I'm going to try to go back through some of the There's so many comments this morning. We have 116 people right now.
Wow. That's good.
In our live. And I thank you to all the people everywhere around. I had people contact me yesterday and the day before. I said, it's like 2 a.m. in the Cape. I am going to get up. I'm going to set my alarm clock and I'm going to be. So thank you for those of you who are taking the time to do that. Kind of go through. I'm going to kind of scan through some. If you have questions too, of course I do DIY. I do house building. I do a little bit of everything with their transition to the Philippines. And if you have questions, I will do my best to answer you within the scope of what I know. There's really just many comments, really nice comments, but I don't really see any questions yet. So I'm going to now for questions. If you have a question, I'm going to try to honor that while I'm talking with Art right here. Well, anyway, Art, we have a segment featuring you inside here, and a lot of people are going to be really surprised about the second segment that we're going to about. Hold on a second. Yeah, I don't know what I have of. I don't see Bud yet. I don't know what's going on. Okay. I see somebody says can't wait to see James and Ness jamming with friends next. Well, I will tell you, we have all the gear set up in the but as you know, we're all under this social distancing, and we're here in the Philippines. There are levels of community quarantines. I think right now we're under GCQ, General Community Quarantine. I don't know. I think that's affect Art because you're trying to get back to the Philippines to get to Mindanao, or right?
Yes, that's right.
How has this affected you?
Well, for a few weeks we were closed down here. I was stuck here in my apartment. This is not my apartment. This is my background. I have a green screen.
And I asked you about that, and you know what? I built my wall there. I said, I want a wall Art has. So no, I'm just joking. That was. Go ahead.
So I was out of work for maybe a month, and so I mean everything just shut down here for about a month, and then they slowly opened it up, and my boss called me back and went back to work, and now we have to wear masks at work, and we got to clean down our stations. I work at a dental manufacturing company making braces, and as a matter of fact, one of our customers is in the Philippines. And so each morning when we come in, they do a temperature check, in the parking lot, just make sure that nobody's sick coming in. So we do that every day. So that's kind of different. But I'm glad I'm back at work and doing a lot of drone flying. I just got a Mavic Air 2, which I love. You're probably wondering, how did you get that? I go, well, about a month ago, a friend of mine, a fellow droner from Dillon, Colorado, he has a channel called The World of Oz. Sean Oz is his name, and he has a tattoo parlor up there. Anyway, he came down here to Denver to do a collab with me, and we were doing a comparison with the Mavic Air to the Mavic Air 2. Well, I was having some issues with the drone not coming back, and Sean said, well, let me take a look at it. Well, we were at a park that had a lake. He landed my drone in the lake.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, hold that point, because I want to elaborate on that for in just a moment. But I just want to get, there was a birthday wish from Dennis Lowe, and he asked the question, when are Ness and I planning on going back to the South Carolina? Well, as you know, we normally go back every year because I have family. I have my father's back in the U.S. and I have other members, and we have friends, and still. I have a residence back there that we maintain. But we couldn't go because our scheduled trip this year was in end of March, like 30 March is what it was 30 March. But right at the very beginning, massive pandemic craziness that you couldn't get through to the airlines. And so what we did, we rescheduled it. Luckily, one of our subscribers, Delta, and I couldn't get through to Delta. I couldn't get through to Delta. I couldn't get through the Asiana. I think was a Korean Air Asiana, and it was just I couldn't get through. Nobody was answering. Nobody, but they hooked us up and they rescheduled. But they rescheduled. We figured back in March that November was going to be safe. All this would be taken care of. Everybody would be doing with the face masks and. But we never really, back in March, and I don't think many other people also were reared for what came after that. So I don't know if we're even going to be able to back this year. So anyway, we don't know. Dennis, know when we're going to get back on that. So, oh gosh, how do I, okay, now. Oh, there we go. I got to figure out I don't know the technicals. I'm still working on technicals here. So anyway, for you, Art, before we go back into your own lake situation, before we go into that question, Steelman. Oh, this is actually my Canada, who's going to be my neighbor here very, very soon. Oh, cool. He said, what would you recommend as a good drone to start out? That's a question to you. What's your recommendation?
What? Okay. First of all, you want to get something that's not a toy drone, but not real expensive, just to see if you really want to get into drones. I would say get a Tello drone. That's by DJI, and it's a small
big
drone. It's got
a DJI fan.
Yeah.
Big DJI fan. I love DJI.
Okay. And it's a small drone, you know, about this. Oh, it's a matter of fact, hold on. This is it.
There you go. So
this is a good starter drone, and if you decide you really like that, get a Mavic Air, which has really nice video for a starter drone. That is about $700. That's about $699. The Tello is just under $100. So it's a good way to dip your toe into it. But if you really want to get into it, get the Mavic Air 2, because it's smaller than the Mavic or the Mavic 2 Pro, but gets really good video quality. It's got 4K capability. They just added a digital zoom feature in the firmware upgrade. It is fantastic. It flies great. It folds up into a little, they give you a little pouch. And if you get the Fly More combo, you get 3 batteries and some filters. And neat thing about it, it's got a nice controller that has OcuSync, which is much more stabler than the Wi-Fi connection you would get with just the Mavic Air. So
Yeah, they've done some really improvements. And the Mavic Pro 2, that's the top of the line for the Mavic
that's
series,
top.
right? That one. And then they have the 2 models. They have the Zoom and then
Zoom.
standard. I think is yours Pro 2 the one that you were showing on your last couple of episodes?
Oh
is
no,
that the
that's
Pro
the
2?
Mavic Air 2.
Yeah, Mavic Air 2. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Great.
the new one, the big brother of the Mavic Air.
Yeah, good quality,
And
really good quality. I took
good
videos
quality,
yeah,
and you
very
get
very high quality.
about 25 minutes battery life, where the Mavic Air you get close to 15 minutes.
Well, people keep asking me when they go back and look at the drone, because I have the drone video of Taal volcano 30 days
Right.
after. I did it before, and I did it 30 days. And I think I've got the only video really in the Philippines for the first days where I flew into the center of the volcano, and
Right.
actually one of my real most popular videos is that up there. But got the DJI Phantom 4 Pro Plus, and the difference between the Pro and the Plus is the control. I wanted the inner controller. It's really clear.
Right.
You don't use your phone or your tab. Anyway, I'm going to answer, and we're going to get get back, because some of the questions. See if I can get somebody was asking a question. Oh, actually, Ness and I are in sync. We are so in sync this morning. This is a question right here somebody had. Kirk. Kirk is asking, what type of work do you hire from? Well, Kirk, I've had a lot of jobs. I'm what my day is a jack with a master of none. And but my last job, I spent after I retired from the Air Force, 20 years in the Air Force. I did 15 years as a government contractor, and I retired as an engineer. I did several engineer functions. I did systems engineers, I did network engineering, and I did integration engineering, all for mainly with the military. So that, I hope that answers your question there. Another question. Let's see. Oh, Art, somebody's asking the same question for you. What was yours before? I know about one already. That's your current job. And don't give the spoiler about the one that you and I talked about, because we're going to do that here in just a minute. What are the jobs besides what ours is right now?
Okay, well, I used to work at a document imaging firm where we took documents and we transferred them to electronic format. We would take somebody's important papers, architect papers, and we would scan them and put them into electronic form, so they have an archive that's stored electronically in case the hard paper gets destroyed. And one of the things that came through was some architecture of the upgrades to Mile High Stadium when they went from being the Bear Stadium to what became Mile High Stadium before Invesco Field or Empowered Field now. And that was kind of interesting to see that, because it had the architecture of the south stands and the north. No, well, anyway, one of the stands, they would move back and forth because they also played baseball there. We had a minor league team, the Denver Bears, and they would expand the stands out. And so that was kind of interesting to see that. And yeah, so I did that. And any other professions you want to talk about?
well, we're gonna go. What we're doing right now, my mind doesn't stay focused and when it keeps tracking off left and right. Let's close out your last. Let's briefly get into. You were talking about you had your drone and over like. As a matter of fact, I think maybe you mentioned it. I would remember I was a guest on Greg's program. What is it? Oz by Drone.
Oz by Drone, yeah.
Oz by Drone. He invited me as a guest on his show, which I got to tell you, his show, it's really interesting. But I want to have the
virtual desk.
I want to have all the, but his is a very professional production. He has producers. He has all these people working in the background. It's a really complex, but it should work. It shows very, very nice. Unfortunately, my first invite on his show, I think most people, they were on vacation or something like that, and the other people couldn't assume the responsibilities of the technical portion. I think it had to do with hours. I don't know, but we had to postpone that one. We had to cancel it and move to the next one. But yeah, he has a great show too, and I'd like to get him on the show here when we're talking about drone. Maybe we'll grab you and Greg and maybe some other people. We'll talk about it at some point. I'm actually going to show. Hopefully, I did this morning, real early this morning. And I got just as the sun was, because the ground after all dew and the rain, it's so beautiful. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So what I want to do, talk about. That's not Avon calling. This is expected on live stream. That shows it's really live. We have somebody showing up at the front gate. Anyway, talk about your own and almost here. Did it happen? The lake? What's that all about?
Yes. Well, what had happened was, and here's the quirky thing about DJI. The Mavic Air 2, it has the height and distance reversed that's on the Mavic Air. So what he thought was the distance was actually the height. And he was bringing it down, and kerplunked right into the lake. And Sean felt so bad. And what a stand-up guy was. He gave me his Autel Evo drone, which is a really fantastic drone. Well, one of his friends, Ken Dono of a drone show called Original Dobo, heard about it. He gave me a Mavic Air 2, the whole shebang with the Fly More combo, and I was just blown away by it. So here's another quirk about the Mavic Air 2. The Fly app only works with certain Android or OS apps. And my phone that I have here is not compatible with it. So I had to go get another phone that was on the list and got that. So that phone is going to be dedicated to that drone. But here's the good thing that coming up with the Mavic Air 2, they'll have the smart controller will be compatible with it. And James, you'll love this because it's got a nice bright screen built into the controller.
That's important. That's really important. And
it has you'll have OcuSync 2. Which will be even better. You're using Lightbridge, aren't you?
Lightbridge, but a Lightbridge. Let me tell you the strengths of Lightbridge. I'm pretty sure it's Lightbridge because it's the older. It's their. I think they're all technology that they had the connection between the control and the Lightbridge works great when there's no obstacles. Like I've exceeded, and I'm going to go on about you dropping your drone inside the lake. But the Lightbridge technology running across something like my videos that I show Taal Volcano, and I go across Taal Lake because you have to get mainland lake to get to the volcano that has a lake inside the volcano that has an island. Anyway. Going across, I think advertised, is 6 kilometers, something like 6 kilometers is what they about. But I've gotten up to 11 kilometers, kilometers. I got 11 kilometers. Oh, I think we might have Bud Brown back in as soon as I see.
Oh, great.
Oh, there he is. I'm gonna add Bud back inside. Hey,
welcome back, Bud.
Hey, welcome.
Welcome to the Philippines. Round out.
Okay. Well, we're actually talking about some drones, and I think you might be able to share some stories yourself about drone. But I was talking about with the Lightbridge technology over the lake. I went 11 kilometers. I don't recommend going 11 kilometers on any of the. I think DJI has about the longest distance you can get.
Yeah.
But what story is similar to your dropping your drone? I didn't drop my drone in, but literally seconds dropping. What was the reason I was able to go 11 kilometers is because I had about a 12 mile per hour tailwind, or maybe even more. 15 mile per hour tailwind.
There you go.
Pushing all the way to the volcano. I got to the volcano, and then it had warned me. So it'll tell you have so much battery life to get back.
Right.
I said, oh, I got faith in it's not family. I didn't realize until I turned it back, and it was struggling against a 12, 15 mile per hour headwind coming back. I'm like, I am not going to make it back. Then halfway across the lake, the drone started to I'm landing because it's landing because it knows it only has it only has so much battery, and it's going to land wherever it will land wherever. And it was getting ready to land in the center of the lake. I almost dropped it. Then, huh? What's that? And it was like it kept saying landing. So I kept struggling, just like a regular pilot, struggle against the rudder and elevator and trying to get it back. I was able to get it at a certain point. I gained control back, and I landed it with 1% battery left. Where I landed it, 1%, and I said I will never do that again. I also another experience. I'll make this. I was flying again. Maybe 2 years ago at Taal Lake. That was my first Taal volcano episode. And I was over the water, and they have all the pontoon boats. They're beautiful, and they have the motors, and some nice flyovers of it. And coming on approach, of course, when your little screen, you're looking, it's a head, like a head. All you see is coming towards you, and it's important to look at those numbers on your elevation and your distance. In the arts, the correct, I know which one is elevation and which one is height. But I'm looking at those, and luckily I had my niece with me, and my niece, she tugged me on the side and she said, Tito James, is the drone supposed to be that close to the water? I looked up, and I was literally within about 6 inches from the water, and I was still descending. So had she,
Oh man,
I lost the drone.
yeah.
There's sensors
on the bottom of the drone, and it doesn't react very well to water because it doesn't see it as a hard surface, and that's why flying over water, especially if you're close to water, could be bad news.
Okay, I want to. There's one more topic about drones because I know, and I want Bud to explain. But somebody had a question here. Oh gosh, where was it?
Security. About security.
Oh, I don't. Where is it at? Security? Where?
Do you need fences?
I'm look. Question here. Somebody had.
Oh, was that Scott? That's Pat.
Oh well, that is a question. Was in. Everything was. No, I don't know. Okay, I can't. I'm having trying to keep up with some of the questions that are over here. Anyway, let's get back before I do one more thing.
Safety of living in the Philippines.
What's that?
Safety of living.
Oh,
outside.
okay. Ness says, who is the one that asked about that? Who? Somebody asked the question, safety of living inside the Philippines, and of course.
I miss that.
That is a big concern. I don't know where it is on my list over here. Jamie Suarez, is that Jamie Suarez? Let me see if I can find that, and I'll try to get that up here.
And drones don't like coconut trees either, James.
They don't. They don't like. Here it is. All right. Here's a question. All right, I did find it. It says, hello, James. What do you think about living outside of a gated community near Lipa City? Safety. That's a good question. Okay, so anyway, I bring this question up in, or my opinion, in several of my videos, especially when I do maybe a bubo time. And when I talk about this, when it comes to safety, your comfort with safety has to be with your common sense approach. And I think Bud being over here probably share that as well, and I can ask him because I don't think Bud community. Maybe I'm if it is or not. But we live in a gated community, and one of the things that we purchased in property inside a gated community because we want to have a little bit more relaxed of a profile as far as what we need to do for security, and it's a common sense thing. We still have a lot around here. We have fence, we have dogs, we have security cameras. I try to avoid our thing, very. And Bud, I know you, and I bet you have a house if living. You have people put the bars inside there, because some places you have to do that. If I were living outside the community, then I would reevaluate my security needs, and my measure would be appropriate upon how I felt out there. But Bud, let me hear, what's your opinion about that?
Like in every city, there's hello. Like in every city, there's rough parts of town. And the rough part here in Dumaguete is near the pier and other places. But we live in a place that's not rough. There's several foreigners. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but a lot of our neighbors are foreigners. Most every house has a 8-foot fence around it, cinder block. And most houses have those bars on them. But our house, I feel very secure here. I mean, we've got. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be afraid of. I don't know about robbers or I don't know what, but we've lived in. This is our third house, 8 years, and we've never had any problems whatsoever. And we have not lived in a gated community. It's been in just a neighborhood.
Well, I don't see the question here, but I want to post this question to you. Maybe somebody asked again. It's hard to try to produce this portion and then look over, and I'm sure Art is really familiar with that. It's really, you got to be really multitasking. Anyway, but what I wanted to ask you about that is, so are you, because you've been here for a long time. You've been in this for quite a long. You were back here when the Americans kicked the Spaniards out, right? But way back.
Yeah, I remember. I hid behind a bush so they wouldn't find me.
Oh no! No, joke line. What I wanted to ask you: are you buying or are you renting that you have in Dumaguete? What's your
that's a good topic, and everyone has to, of course, make their own decisions. For everything. My wife and I have decided at our age we would never buy a house again because several reasons. One, we have an income to pay our low rent. When I'm saying low, I mean $200, $300 a month. And our pension is as long as we live. So that's never a problem. But maybe the number one reason is the freedom to move on down the road if we need to. If you own a house, it's going to be really complicated to move. I'm assuming, but that's one of our. And also, I'll just say that even though we love it here in the Philippines, it's just great. We plan to spend the rest of our days here. If things get rough or we're not wanted, or just we'll just move on down the road. So, and renting will, facilitate that.
Yeah. Well, our approach, let me give you a little bit of a background. Again, these are things that we've never about before, but originally we were just looking for a small place, a very, very small place, maybe in very small communities, because in the Philippines, the standard in many of the smaller communities, sizes are maybe about 100 square meters, 125 square meters. That's your lot size. And then and when you think about a 125 square meter lot, if they don't have any zoning restrictions really about how close you can be to your fence, people will build the house right on the fence. So basically, when you wake up in the morning and you're taking a shower and you look out the window and you shower, you might see your neighbor showering too. Sitting
Exactly.
there. You shake hands, you pass a cup back and forth to each other.
That's true.
Hopefully not while you're showering. That's kind of the way it is. So when we first thought about that, because we wanted a place to vacation. At the very beginning, we wanted to be able to come see Nessa's family, see schoolmates, because this is where she grew up, and this is where she went to school. So that was the original concept of a very small, very modest, tiny house inside here. But I got to think, you know what? When I was over here, I'm like, the Philippines is really cool. And I'm really digging 365 days of the year of this kind of weather like you see right now. Although we have rainy seasons, dry seasons, but you can see yard. That's one of the things that I'm not so sad about being back in the U.S. Even though we're in the South, we have 8 months of really good weather and 4 months of you kind of got to hibernate inside the house. Grass dies, but doesn't die. Dormant, it's brown, and then if you have a garden, you can't. You have a very short span. But here, 365 days of the year. So then we had to reevaluate, and our reevaluation had to do with we want a bigger lot. So that's what we ended up. We ended up when we looked for a place that had a little bit bigger lots. That's why. And then once we were here, we first started. We said we're going to spend 8 months in the Philippines, 4 months in the U.S. But the more that we are the more that we're here, the more it's like, I want to be here 305 days of the year. I mean, I want to go back. I want to go back to the U.S. because again, I have family, and I have my father. He's elderly and he has medical conditions. He can't travel over here, so we have to go back. We have to go back, but now, like just for a short vacation, to go back to the U.S. And that was a question. I think somebody had a question earlier. And let me see if I can go back. I don't know where that one. Let me get real quick. I have one question about security. Since we're talking about security, John Baker says, "Do Ring cameras work in the Philippines?" I'm sure they do, because I have a Ring security system inside the house, and it's the IR sensors, EIR sensors. It's the door, and it's the control. So all the Ring stuff have. I don't have Ring cameras inside here, but
Is that a brand? Or-
Ring,
What
Ring, yeah. Ring is a brand. It's like you have Apple makes the iPhone, and Ring is a system, and that's what we have. We have that here. But to John, what I would like to say, my experience with the Ring is spotty. If you are building a concrete house and you have more than floor, if you have a 2-story building or like what we were with the basement, relying on I'm nesting me. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. Relying on trying to make it through the concrete is really difficult. When Americans and American companies design and engineer these devices, especially anything that has to do with Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, they design it and test it on houses that are made of wood. We have walls so thin in the U.S. that you can punch. You can literally from inside the house, you can punch through the wall, and actually you can feel outside. That thin our walls are in the U.S. In the Philippines is king here. Very, very strong houses, but it also is a challenge when you do with any device, any Bluetooth device. And the Ring struggles. It struggles over here. They have these devices. They're extenders. These extenders, and I have 2 of them with varying results. It says on the extender, you plug it into the wall, and it's supposed to connect up to the base and basically amplify this in a part of your house. It does what an extender normally does. It'll amplify the signal. But my experience with extender is it's still weak, it's spotty, but one positive thing is that they don't advertise. It says on the extender where it plugs into the wall, it says 120 volt AC. That's all it says, and there's no multi voltage inside there. But I bought 2 of them. And I did a burn test on one of them to see. I was willing to burn well, sometimes you have to do this because sometimes they don't advertise, especially what is 99 point something % of electronics come from China. Now that being said, is a lot of times send it to the U market based upon the manufacturer or the vendor, and they'll only stamp 1 voltage on there. So I took one, I did a burn test on, and it worked. So the one that says 120 only for the extend Ring, it was on a 240 system also. At least the ones that I have do, but they're leaky. Art, it was asking.
You need probably everybody knows
was
already.
asking,
220 volt here.
Yeah, we're 220, 240 volts here in the Philippines. Somebody was asking about Art's channel. To Art, he has a channel called Rycote Drone Solutions on YouTube. If you get a chance, Rycote Drone Solutions, and consequently for Bud also has one called Bud Brown in the Philippines, and I think
A lot of time to figure out that one.
Yeah, but I think you have two channels, don't you, Bud?
Just one now. That's another story.
One. Well, I will tell you collaborative YouTube that I went to up in global place up in Manila. That they recommend, if you are doing something a little bit separate, which you know what, I've already established one here also. I don't really publicize it. Another channel that is nothing to do with DIY, nothing with home building, nothing to do with gardening, nothing to do with culture inside the Philippines. What they recommend, if you have another thing that you want to feature, don't include that. They said, and they show it's successful like that. So if you are, well, like Art actually has channels, and we're gonna jump into Art's second channel here in just a moment. But if you do have something else that you want to get across and it's outside scope or the theme of your main channel, create a second one. And especially, it's what they show, it's especially effective if you monetize your channel. It will increase your monetization and your revenue by doing something like that. Mainly everything that I do here, I do pretty much everything here because it's a little everything, DIY, and also one good thing, what I like about the DIY and the how-to is, believe it or not, I don't remember, I haven't looked at how many episodes. I'm going to say between 700 and 800 episodes I think I produced over the last 3 years. And most people think that the most of I monetize, and I think most everybody that after they get 1,000 subscribers, that's their objective. They try to monetize to help out operating expenses with doing all it, buying the cameras, buying the drones, buying everything to try to make a really good, do your best. And for my objective, one of the highest for me on my monetization has nothing to do with the Philippines. It has how to fix stuff, how to fix your refrigerator, how to service your air conditioner. Those, I have one of those where most revenue that I receive comes from. But you know what? I enjoy what we're doing right now. I enjoy stuff. Even if I don't make hardly anything on that, I'm still having a lot of fun with that. And it's the people who chime in, the comments, the emails I get, and even on Facebook, I get a lot of people. Although I keep telling people I don't visit Facebook that often. When I post a video, I do a mirror URL on it. So if you contact me here on the channel on YouTube, email if you have questions, because we have a lot about that. So what I want to do
Link
real
in
quick.
the description below.
Right, that's right. So what I want to do real quick, I want to come up, and you'll have to excuse me for a second. You might see a couple of weird things go on here, but I want to talk a little bit.
Too late.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get used to this. I'm learning, and I apologize for any of. I want to do, if I have it. Oh, I do. I have it.
Good.
I do, and you'll get a little. Let's see. So it's queued up, and okay, so the side of it here, and I'm going to set this up right now. What you're getting ready to see is, I don't know if you know it, but has another channel. Art has another life that he hasn't shared right now. Art is this phenomenal worldwide on-stage comedian, live on stage, you know. So I'm going to show just a little thing. And apologize, Art, what I had to do, since we have a very conservative channel and we have children that watch this channel, I had to bleep out a couple things, so I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind. I edited your.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so let me see if I can find this, and I think I do, and something like this.
Moving right along. In fact, this is our final contestant tonight, and the judges, of course, are picking up their sheets. Well, I'll give you all that info. First of all, this guy's hot. This is the bad boy of comedy, Art Carlson, right here at the Comedy Works. Give him a hand.
How about another hand for all the ads you've seen tonight? Yeah. Woo. Almost didn't make it down here tonight. I ate dinner at Denny's. Had that damn booster seat stuck to my ass. Bought some new clothes today. Did a little shopping. I bought this shirt and pants. But I'm especially proud of this mesh undershirt. I got it free with a bag of onions. And you guys sell weird stuff up here. I went into a clock store and they had all kinds of novelty clocks. They had this one clock called the Plop Clock. This is a clock that's made from a cow patty. And I'm thinking, just what I need, another piece of shit hanging on my wall. I could just see it when my friends come over and they ask me what time it is. I'd say, gee, beats the shit out of me. I guess it's 8:30. And now scientists have found out that oat bran does not do anything to lower your cholesterol. However, it does exercise your colon. I'm thinking, great, now my colon could rip a phone book in half. And now for a demonstration.
Oh, that's hilarious. Art.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but
Yeah, the respectometer went up quite a bit there. That's great.
yeah, I was a stand-up comic for 25 years.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh my.
I got to work with Roseanne Barr, Ellen DeGeneres, Sinbad,
Wow.
Louis Anderson.
All the big ones.
Yep.
Ah, that's amazing.
Okay.
So
Save it-
it was quite an experience. I mean, it was the thing that got me to travel to Asia because I got a chance to do a USO type tour
Yeah.
to Japan and South Korea. And so that was my first time to Asia. And I got my passport here. And where is that? Where is that? Gotta show you this photo. Look at that long hair hippie.
Wow. Who's that young man? What did-
That was in 1990. The tour I did was in 95. And what's ironic is that two of the bases I went to in Japan, my dad was stationed there in 1945.
Kadena?
Kadena and Atsugi. Yep.
Yeah.
So we went to Misawa, then we went to Yokota, Atsugi, then we went to Kadena, and then from there we went to Kunsan, and then Osan, and then Kunsan was our last leg. And this was in January, so getting to Okinawa was a treat because it was nice and warm there.
Nice and warm in Okinawa.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, Art, I want to share with you also. You're talking about Kunsan and Onsan, and that's my old stop. In,
Yeah.
Air Force.
Oh, boy.
And then we actually, I don't know if I have that. See, I'm gonna try to do this in the background. Ness and I, let me see. I'm gonna try to another and see if I can put a JPEG photo right here. Ness and I were actually, I don't know if you know, we were in a band over there. Gosh, I thought I saved. Oh, here it is. Let me show you. Let me show you this. Let me see if I can cue it up. Cue it up, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. And it's just 4 pictures here, and Those areas, all area 1, 2, 3, are over inside South. They MR band that we played over there. Here, this. There is no. I have no audio with this, so I don't audio. So let me show you this while we're talking here. I'm gonna try my best to get this in. Let's see if I can do this. Here we go. In the background. So this
Hey, all right.
Nat's always upstage
Big cat.
with her clothing. She is always so beautiful up on stage.
How cool is that?
That's when my hair was longer than Nessa's hair, right there.
All right.
So anyway, that was a blast from the past. I felt like I needed to, but yeah, I know those areas well, and it's fun. It's fun playing to the military audience out there, whether it be MW or whether it be the USO, which Ness and I had contracts. USO over there. We actually played on the USS Ronald Reagan. The USO came up to where we were living at in Tech. They picked us up with a big USO tour that would hold like 50 people. For my like five men, they drove us all the way down to the port, and we played on the USS Ronald Reagan, the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier on there. But we had it's a great time. Talk about you a little bit more about your experiences over there.
Which one? To Art, right?
You all right?
Well, it was a blast. When we were in Misawa, I had the opportunity to experience a 6.9 earthquake at about 7 in the morning, and at first I thought it was the other comedians snuck into my hotel room shaking my bed. I thought they were messing around with me because, well, you know what comedians do after a show. We have a few of these, and I'm feeling the room shaking, and I hear the paintings rattling, and I woke up and I go, holy cow, that. And I knew that in Japan, they get these big quakes. So I ran into the bathroom because I know I hear that's the safest place to go to. And that's what I did. And then a few minutes later, I hear a knock on my door. It was the other two comedians checking on me to see if I was okay. And I'm like, oh, God, that was a big one. He goes, yep, it was.
Well, speaking about quakes, I want to direct this to Art for a moment here. We live very close to a volcano in our videos. We're 21 kilometers line of sight direct to the volcano. It exploded. It erupted in January, and I have a great video on that event here. And that was a precursor to us just before a 1-2 punch when the pandemic came through right here. So we've gone through, so like everybody else around the world, we've gone through a pretty rough time for 2020. One of the things living in Lipa, even though we're that close to that volcano, we are actually, there's no where we live right here. So although we feel tremors every now and then, as a result of maybe some movement over Taal, or there's a big fault down by Batangas City and north of us. One of the good things about Lipa, in particular, and other than the climate here, we're cooler, several degrees usually cooler than the rest of the area between Manila and Batangas, is the fact that we're not on an active fault here. And that's really important when you're building concrete houses. And one of the reasons
Yeah.
why one of the reasons why we built the basement, and one of the reasons why we built the basement whose walls are 16 inches thick. As you know, most concrete hollow block construction or form construction here in the Philippines, it's usually they use 5 or 6 inch blocks for exterior walls, or what they'll use. We doubled up 6 inch blocks in the basement, overlapped them, we buttered them in between, and we put, since they are a basement, we have some waterproofing to prevent any type of water seepage inside from that. And it's worked out really good. We've been here 3 years, not one drop, no mold or anything like that. But getting back to that, that's like our fall shelter. That's our bomb shelter. That's our, when the zombies start coming, that's where we're locking ourselves in. That's where we're locking ourselves inside. Now, for you, Art, for you, what is, as far as, do you have effects down in Dumaguete? I know you get typhoons, but what about earthquakes? What's it like down there?
Oh, me here in Colorado, we get some
you too, Art.
earthquakes.
Did I say Art? I meant
Yeah,
Bud.
you
But anyway,
said
Art, what about you?
Yeah.
Okay, Art, we'll go with you first, and then we'll go. I meant Bud.
Well,
I'm getting
right now we're into fire season, and we have one great big fire north of Grand Junction, which has turned into the second largest fire in state history, and it's affecting us here in Denver, even though we're a couple 100 miles away from the fire. The smoke from all the different fires in the mountains is causing a hazy condition down here in Denver. So we'll have some days where you look to the west, you don't see the mountains because of the smoke. And it'll be clear and sunny, but it's like smoking. You could smell what it smells like. Is there a fireplace going? It smells like burnt wood.
Yeah.
So we're going through that right now, and we've got a somewhat of a drought going, and so that's just one of the things about Colorado, because Denver is classified as an alpine desert. Even though we're a mile high, we got fairly decent summers. We might get 1 or 2 100-degree days, but we'll get over 30, 90-degree days. So it gets pretty hot. And then in the wintertime, winters are pretty mild, where we'll get a few inches of snow, and then it'll be gone in a few days. And once in a great while, we'll get a blizzard like we had in 03, where we got 41 inches of snow here in the Denver area. And we were, we couldn't go anywhere for like 2 or 3 days because the roads were blocked. Because they do the main roads first, and then the residential roads are the last ones to get cleared out. So.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear? I don't know.
Yeah,
Can you hear
I
me?
hear you, but you're frozen.
I'm frozen. Okay, let me go out.
Oh, there you go. Now you're moving. Oh,
Okay.
This is fun.
there we go.
I don't know. I said Murphy's Law. I might have to go out and come back in a couple times. Are you hearing me? But my video is lagging, isn't it?
Internet by PLDT.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me try getting back out and coming back.
Well, I'm just glad I still have electricity.
Yeah.
Now,
Bud, how is Molly doing after her
Molly.
surgery?
she's done great.
Huh?
She's done great. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so that was no complications whatsoever.
Oh, that's
But
wonderful.
I'm not live.
That's wonderful.
Okay, I see you,
Oh.
James.
All right, you're
Well,
moving.
I don't know. Are we talking? Do we have audio that's syncing? Do you hear me while we're
Yeah,
talking with each other?
that's fine.
The
Oh,
audio
you're
is
kind of
working.
lagging a little bit.
Yeah, you're okay.
Yeah, I think.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Okay.
mean-
So anyway, okay. Let me try getting. So okay, Ness says I'm okay. My own screen, I'm like my video is really lagging real time. Anyway, so these are things that you have to be concerned when you're doing live streaming.
Sure.
Yep.
People ringing your doorbell. You're losing your connection. I will tell you before we started this morning, we had a power outage. So we had a brownout. What call a brownout here? It was now, which the brownout in the Philippines I call blackouts normally because in the U.S. if it's more than 1 second, it's a blackout. Here, if it's 10 hours, it's a brownout. So. I don't know.
My
seem to be
brother. Okay, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead,
Go ahead. Okay, my brother works for the Edison Power Company in California, and that was a question that I asked him: what's the difference between a brownout and a blackout? Because you never hear the word here in the Philippines blackout; it's always brownout. He said, well, in his work, the blackout means if I remember correctly, it was an accident. It was a car hit a pole or something like that. But a brownout is like a temporary thing that they have to shut off the electricity, do a little bit of work, and then they turn it back on. So, but here, everything's a brownout.
All right, Bud, you have a question up on the screen. Can people over 60 leave their house in Duma?
Yeah, well, I wish I was the authority on it, but I'll tell you, I do. Me and Gloria, if you followed our daily schedule, we take off about 7:30 or 8 in the morning. She goes to McDonald's, and now when she gets there, she does have to fill out a form, get her temperature taken, and that's it. And then goes inside. And I'll go to a coffee shop someplace, and same thing. Got to fill out. They'll take your temperature, fill out a little contact form, and let me go inside. And once I get there, I take off my mask and have my coffee or breakfast, whatever. 2 hours later, I pick her up. We come home. The only time that somebody asked us about a pass, official pass, was went to Robinson's Mall, and they said, your pass? I go, my what? Your pass, your quarantine pass? Fortunately, I carried in my, I have this general quarantine pass that I carry in my phone, and there's no date on it. There's no limitation. It just says this man's a senior citizen, and he needs to get groceries or essential goods. Okay, good enough, going in. But we've never, only one time we went to Hypermart. I think I did a little video on it. We didn't have a pass. And that's before we realized you need one. And to get a pass, we just went down to the local barangay hall and said, we need a pass. But those days, this was like a month ago, they give us a 1 day pass, 1 day. But this one that we have now, there's no date or expiration on it at all. So, but we don't really need it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think your mileage varies where you're at.
Yeah.
Because something I have to I had the same experience with you, and I don't know if it's the of the Robinson chain, but the most difficult place that we had in over the team so far has been Robinson. They wouldn't let us in, of course. And now, if you read, and it's President Duterte's directive that goes out. It's a national directive, and then you have local directives from the mayors of each one of the cities. But they have to go by the national directive. There's a task force, the IETF, interagency task force, that is a directive that is utilized by on the national that sends that IATF directive down to each one of the local governments, the mayor of each one of the cities. And the IATF it's pretty easy to read, and what it says, unfortunately, some people are not going by. That comes to senior citizens, and this is where there was the discrepancy at Robinson's with us, like the problem that you had. Inside the directive, I wish I had the directive here in front of me, but it says non-specific. It's usually GCQ, modified GCQ, even modified ECQ, that people under 21 or under 20 or over 60 are not allowed to go out. They must stay in, but it says except, there's a word here, except when you need essentials and essential needs and services. And essential needs are food. So you assume that people over the age of 60 don't need food. And normally, if you are a Filipino, all the Filipino families, they help each other. They always have some. But if you are somebody like us, we're here on ourselves, but our family members we have inside here, that one of them has a person with a disability and the other one is on a lockdown, and they can't go out and shop for us. They don't have vehicles. They remember during ECQ, they locked down all the tricycles, the jeepneys. There was no public transportation ECQ. When we got all our barangay. Right now we have new pass, and this is our third time getting different quarantine passes for you to leave the barangay or to get back inside the barangay. But we went to Robinson that day, and we have everything we need. And, but I didn't bring the directives except when needing. But I said to them, this is exception, but the guards still wouldn't let us inside there. And you can't argue. You can sit there and show them. You do your best, and that's what I talked about, I think, on my last video. It's how you approach people around here. Yeah. Even though you can't be a hothead and talk. You can't do that. You will never survive. You will never be able to retire in the Philippines.
Good point.
You'll be very miserable. So what you have to do, you have to think as a Pinoy over here. When you are here, you got your Pinoy cap on, and when you go to somebody, people will help you out here. But first, you have to open up a dialogue with them. You have to have a little operation going on with them, and then you let them understand your situation. And 9 times out of 10, people are really willing to help you out. And I will tell you, just from going into, like, I went into SM supermarket with my video camera, and I want you to share this, or as being over here in the Philippines. What are some of your most interesting experiences as a vlogger in the Philippines? I went to SM supermarket doing a video inside, and I've done it maybe 50 times. I've done where I go show people how much things cost in the Philippines off the shelf. What I'm picking. Comparison with their home to see how much things cost. Well, I had a security in come up, and he said you can't do any videoing inside here. And a lot of the places say they on the doors that you can't video inside here. But most people, under your vlogger, and a lot, if you're the shop owner or something like that, they know you're promoting their business. But I've only had 2 places that have stopped. And it was by security. But I sat there and I talked with the security guard, and he was a really nice guy, and he was doing his job. It's your attitude. It's your attitude with them. And he said, "Will I be on your video?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." And he said, "Give me your YouTube channel link," and like that. So what I did, I made a new friend. I made a new friend who now doesn't see me when he sees me coming inside there, and he talks with me and we chat up. So it's how you approach things going to be. You know, I got to tell you, it's sad sometimes when I see an expat or a foreigner, and then they have the attitude that they want to bring in their culture and use their culture inside here, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, you have to do this, and I'm like, and so I'll be honest with you, sometimes after they've gone out of the way, I've gone up to the person, I gotta apologize for. I said, not everybody's like that. You just kind of have to understand. And
Yeah.
I will tell you, they almost all understand that, because, like I said in my last, Filipinos avoid conflict. They do everything to avoid conflict, and they will.
Yeah.
And I learned that, and I hope that's made me a better person being over here. I
Yeah.
can tell you've
Yeah.
adapted really well to that attitude. But
Well, I got a real short little story. I've never shared it with anybody, but it's a good one. I'm driving, in the Molly-mobile, and normally when and the street comes to a T, right? So I don't know if I can see. Yeah, it comes to a T. So normally Filipinos and myself will get over in the left lane to turn left. Normally you should stay in your right lane to turn left, but nobody's coming. Well, there was a barrier right in the middle of the road. So there was a space on the left, a space on the right. And so as my routine, I'm in the left lane, going to turn left. Lo and behold, here comes a little car that's turning right, turning into where I'm going into. Well, he had to stop, back up, and then he rolls down the window, and I said, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, because I was definitely in the wrong, right? So he says, a Filipino young man and his wife, he said, sir, next time you should move to the right lane, because this is the lane for incoming traffic. And what did I do? I'm sorry. He said, that's okay. And his wife, that's okay. But, I'm sorry. What can I say? I'm in the wrong. Forgive me, please. No problem.
that's right. And that, yeah, I that's kind of helped talking like that with people. And I got to be honest with you. The vlog, being as similar as it is inside the Philippines, has saved me several times. Even with the P, I will tell you, all the PMP locally here in Lipa, I think they recognize me when the checkpoints and all. They're like, "Oh, yeah. you're the vlogger, yeah. I've seen you." But I tell you though, I'm not going to go into detail about it, but I had a get out free pass in Manila because I didn't understand something, and I don't know. But anyway, when they saw that I was a vlogger inside there, and they really didn't want exposure, like, well, just don't do it. I was real nice. This is how I kind of approach it. I said, sir, thank you for making me aware that I was in the wrong here. I got to tell you, sometimes being a foreigner in the country, you're learning the way, and it's how you get them. And he all right, he said, just be aware of this, like that. But he saw we were vlog time, and I think an exposure on it. But they were real kind with us on that. But more questions, since you brought up the Molly-mobile. I know one of your dogs' name is Molly, and I got to tell you, I went down. Lipa they have car dealerships here, all your brand, but they all sell vehicles just like yours. But they didn't at the time when you purchased yours. They didn't have those Indian stuff. People in the back. They didn't have that here. They didn't have that. I went down. Your channel, I went down and I looked at it to see what the feasibility of having something like that for myself here. I didn't choose it because I do a lot of building and I need building supplies, so I needed a truck. So that eliminated that. But I do know, I noticed over the years, but not as a negative term, but you've pimped out, or you've supercharged, or you've made your Molly-mobile into a Batman supercharged Batmobile. Talk a bit about the history of the Molly-mobile.
Actually, I've had 3 vehicles. The original one was the Molly-mobile. It was basically a golf cart, electric, and we took it down because I wanted to get a windshield put on it. We took it to this fabrication place, and he said, "You want a windshield?" He said, "Do you want any doors or anything?" I thought, "Hey, that'd be pretty good. Put a door on there." Of course, Gloria says, "I want a door too in the back." So they made a whole body for it, and that was the original Mollymobile. But as you all surely know, batteries in the Philippines don't have a long lifespan. So consequently, we had trouble getting batteries. One time it took a year, and finally I said, I love the Mollymobile, but I have to let it go. And we bought a Chariot, which is basically a farm vehicle, a tricycle with a 175cc engine, and then a cargo bed in the back. And I had it for 3 years, and we just called it the Chariot. But anybody thinking about that, I would suggest one kind of little bit of a regret. They have the cargo, then they have the passenger model. The passenger model has benches that fold up and down in the back, plus the tailgate has a split in it, a space, and a little step below that. So you can step into it like you're stepping into a jeepney or something, and you can sit on the bench. But unfortunately, we just had the cargo model, and Gloria, bless her heart, had to sit on a little plastic stool. Oh, I got a lot of grief from my subscribers. What's the matter with you? You're white, blah, blah, blah. Finally, I succumbed to the criticism, and they're right. We're not young chicks, so we got this. The general term, they call it tuk-tuk, and there's two kinds here. There's the Indian kind, Bajaj, but the reason that I got the one that I got, the Bajaj has a left-hand transmission shifter. You can see it here. So you're driving, and then you shift first gear, second gear, third gear. And I tried it out. I babysat one for a guy for about a month, and I just couldn't. Being a motorcycle rider, I just couldn't get used to it. But then this Rycote that I have now, it's just like a regular motorcycle, 5 gears down on the left foot, and it also has I call it a granny gear, but low and high, and the reverse. Dig this, 5 gears in reverse. I've never went in reverse more than first gear. But if I wanted to, theoretically, I could go gear 2, 3, 4, 5 going backwards.
Okay. But hold on a second. I just want to answer a couple of questions. Anyway, Bud, people are asking about the Asawas, our spouses. Where's Gloria? Is she there? Is she there today?
I dropped her off because I knew I was coming back here to the house for this, and she just called just a couple of minutes ago. I saw her. Sorry, I should have answered it, but I didn't. She'll understand. I'll tell her they got stuck in traffic. Ran out of gas, had a flat tire.
Okay. Well, if she happens. Have her show her face. I would love to see her on. And there's another question from Stephen Kiaz, or pronounce that right, and it has to do with me. He's like a motorcycle guy. Have I ever owned one? Well, I have. I've actually owned a couple. They're dirt bikes. I like dirt biking. I'm at my age right now. Of course, today's my. I'm not okay. I'm 63 today, but I don't today.
Yeah. Oh, you missed it. I sang happy birthday.
You missed. Oh, did you?
I was out of the room.
Thanks. Anyway, at my age, this country, I think it's probably not a good idea to be a motorcycle rider over here. Although there's challenges over here. And I briefly talk about the challenges and but being here as long as you have as well. But I think for me, I want to live a long and happy life. I want to farm in my backyard for a long time.
You're only one.
So I would like to have a cage around me when I'm driving around. That's why I have the truck. I love bikes. If I were back in the U.S. And return, a lot of people take that up. Of course, our roads are huge back in the U.S. And you can really, especially if you do cross country and stuff. I would love to do that if I were back inside the U.S. But not over here. And that a lot of people ask me. A very standard question is about my recommendation driving over here. And you get in driver's license, a vehicle, car over here, and stuff like that. Well, I will tell you, if you are the type of person, like I said earlier, remember we were talking about attitude. If you're a very high stress person, and you don't know how to work in a compromising situation, I say no. Don't drive over. And if you come over here with your driving habits from, especially, I'm going to say North America, the way you drive in the U.S. or most other countries, very similar to driving over here. If you drive in Europe, around the world, I've lived in Belgium, drove all over Brussels, Paris, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I've driven so many places, Korea, so many around the world, and a lot of the situations are very similar to here. They're very challenging, but there's a flow. There's a flow. And if you observe, this is how I learned to drive Philippines. We had a rental when we first came here. We had a van and a driver. The very first month that we were we had what they call a service here, as you're very familiar with, Bud. You rent a service, and that's a driver and a vehicle. And I sat in the passenger seat in the front, and I observed. I watched how everything else is done here. And what you have to do, that mindset, you have to go with the flow. You have to drive, like Ness just said, you have to drive like a Filipino. As long as you do that, you will do great. Actually, I like it better. Be honest with you. And there was a question here about, and I'm going to see if I queue it up, if I can find that. When somebody asked the question, the U.S., it's somewhere.
Yes.
It's somewhere right here. Do I miss the U.S.? But you can't go over here and drive you do in the U.S. There's a set of rules, and I've learned that every kind of fact when I was in the military. Every time I want to, and it's usually long-term deployments for 6 months or more, I always got stuck as the first trained people. And that's scary. That's scary teaching people who've never, especially young, these like 18, 19 year olds. Gloria, I see her face. Go ahead, Bud.
Hi, hon.
Only on live streaming. Only on live streaming.
No, dito pa. Kami.
You can bump him out, Walt.
Huh?
Well, James,
okay,
I have a question
Bye.
for you. And
Now, I wear the pants in this family. You know that. Don't be calling me and interrupting what I'm doing. Anybody believe that? Sorry, boys. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's okay. It's live. Good, Art. What was the question? What was the question?
My question is, being a disabled person living in the Philippines, and one of the things I would like to retire in the Philippines. I have a girlfriend down in Mindanao. As a matter of fact, you probably know Christopher and Nelia Coaches. They're from California. Because you said happy birthday.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Anyway, I met them when I was in the Philippines back in 2017. And when I broke up with my fiance, Nelia says, "Oh, I have a cousin." So they fixed me up, and we've been talking for a couple of years. And so just, you know, I'm pretty ambulatory. I get around pretty good, and I get along with a lot of people. And I think living in the Philippines would be nice and calm, and I don't have to, you know, you're not Like here in the States, you got, oh, I gotta go work, I gotta do this, and I'm
There's a
getting
lot of
very close to retiring. So
yeah, a lot of us in the states. And what you just addressed right now are one of our Bernard Marth. I can't read my wife's.
right, I saw that.
Martin. Oh, Bernard Martin. He was asking, have you ever lived in the Philippines? I know you've traveled over here. You've come on vacation. You've gone and you visited your girlfriend down in Davao, and you've gone
Well,
seen some Mindanao, somewhere down in Mindanao.
well, Yolanda lives in at that time Marinas. Now she lives in General Trias. That didn't work out. So my new girlfriend, she's down in Mindanao near Dipolog.
That's near
So anyway,
Napolo.
let's. So, but you and I could probably address, because Art has the question, and we get the question
Okay.
all the time. And earlier in the chat, she asked the question about the VA hospital here, and it's really not a hospital; it's a clinic. We have a clinic here. So let's try it. Questions. Health is a major concern. Art is asking about it. You and I, being our ages that we have now, and it doesn't matter what age you are, health is always a concern, because you never know when you're going to. So my experience has been, and I've done a couple episodes about hospitals here. As a matter of fact, I've been invited by the owner of one of the hospitals. I was supposed to do it at the very beginning of the Taal volcano blow up. He's building a new. His family's one of the biggest hospitals, and one of the oldest hospitals here in Lipa. It's Villa Memorial, and one of the sons of the original founder of the first hospital, Villa Memorial, which is very close to us here. His name is Villa. He was the president of the Rotary Club that I'm a member of here, and he asked me for visibility, because every time it opens, they want to have familiarity, and vlogs do a real good job of doing it. And he asked me to go. Anyway, I have stayed in his father's hospital, the hospital that he works. He's actually an anesthesiologist inside his hospital, management there. So I've had experience inside only one hospital, and I've been hospitalized twice here. I had stones at one time, and I forgot what the was, but I got some. I think I got hurt. I had some stitches in my hand. I had to go. I was in the emergency room twice. Now, hospitals vary, and again, what I said earlier when I said your mileage varies, it varies really. It's very wide in the Philippines. You can be in Manila, and you could have hospitals in Manila. I haven't experienced, but with other people, that are equal to, or maybe better than hospitals that we have in your community inside the U.S. or wherever they come from. There are really great hospitals up here, but there are also, I'm going to say probably my experience of visiting people in the hospital and myself being hospitalized. It's you kind of feel like you've gone back medieval times. Ness says, why medieval? Well, I would say it's like the room. Like I'll share my experience in the hospital I was
Leeches.
in.
Those leeches, for blood.
No, I will tell you. Let me say the good and the bad, and that's what I do. I share everything the way it is on here. I don't sugarcoat. I don't sugarcoat, but I don't go out to harm anyone. But I just share my experience. Now I will tell you, I was treated extremely well in hospital, and that was the first time I went there. I'm not sure. Yeah, I believe I knew, but
You had your kidney.
with the kidney stones, yeah. He
He
didn't know at first when I went in there, so nobody knew I was associated with the owner of the hospital. Well, they took me into the emergency room immediately. Took care of my pain. You know what kidney stones can actually be. That's one of the worst things that you can have for a man, for pain wise. Anyway, They took that, they analyzed they took care of me extremely fast. I was so very, although it's a little bit older government, I was very happy with my there. Now, when they moved from the emergency room up into my room, which I was really lucky, I got a private room up. I don't know if it had to do with that I had already contacted Gerard, and I said, Gerard, I'm down in your right now, and I don't want to die. And he came down, he came in, and he visited me in the emergency room. And I don't know if he did or not, but I ended up getting, because I'd asked for a private, and there was no rooms available, but I ended up getting a private room. And the private room in the U.S. compared to the private room in the Philippines, they're a little bit different, and it has to do with updated convenience. Now, but it's not all of them. It's an older hospital, and I know the newer hospitals, they probably are some of the very nicest facilities in the U.S. But mine, it's like when you go into the bathroom, which is traditionally, you go to many places in the Philippines, and you'll go to lavatory. And there won't be a seat. There'll be no on the toilet, right, bud? I'm sure you see that.
Right.
All
bring your own toilet paper too.
Bring your own toilet paper. That's correct. And my room, even though it was a private room, had no toilet seat. The shower didn't work inside there. So, but there was a tabo, the tabo. So I would, and I'm accustomed to. I've deployed enough. So for me, I've lived in very different situations around the world, especially being a member of the military. I know what it's like to be without water, when water deprived of you, and you learn how to make do. You shouldn't have to do that in a hospital, but there was water, but it's a little inconvenient. Now I do know, being in other hospitals right here in Lipa, that the more modern hospitals, the rooms are more modernized. The comfort room, they call it here, the bathroom, the toilet, is more like what standard. So your mileage that you have over there, but expect different. Now, Bud, share your opinion on that.
There's two things that I want to point out that are different. Now, I've only been in Cebu Island and here in Dumaguete, so I've never been all over the Philippines, but I understand this is probably the same, and you can confirm it or not. One thing is different. Here, you have to have someone with you in your room, a relative, a friend, someone has to be there, and I was told if you don't have someone, they're going to hire someone and attach that to the bill. So, was that your experience? You had to have someone there in the room with you?
Well, no, because
24/7?
I had Ness here. But the thing is, you will never get out of a hospital without cash.
That's another one.
Your stay. Yeah, that's real important. That
was the other thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to pay. No pay, no go. Like the debtor's prison, you stay in jail until you pay. You're fine.
That's right. That's You don't check out without paying that bill. It's real. They will not let you go, and you will not walk out that door. And they have a guard. You actually have to have a little receipt. The security guard at the exit to where you go. He's there and he's looking. They'll be looking for that. But I got to say, on the pro side, and it has to do with cost, how much you pay inside the hospital. Now the procedure that I had in the emergency room, and I talked about it in my video, but we'll quickly go across it here. My stay inside the stay in the hospital, so I paid for emergency room, the pain medication. I think it was an MRI that I had done. MRI is expensive in the U.S. $1,000 to maybe $12,000, $13,000 for an MRI in the U.S. dollars. And I think I was there for how many days? 3 days? Was it? It was several days that I was inside there. As a matter of fact, I had to ask to leave once they did everything. And the doctor, the who deals with your kidney stones when he came, urologist, which was the brother of Gerard, another son of the hospital owner. He came and he talked with me and he shared. And the bedside manner was awesome. He told me things normal people won't tell you. Normal doctors won't tell you about all these other things. He's kind of scared me. He said, "Oh, well, I was this. You might want to have this check." And he showed me X-ray and stuff. So I don't know if that's a good side manner or not. But he was very upfront. But let's get back to the bill. My total bill, for all of which I calculated, had I in a U.S. hospital, VA, in a regular hospital. And I went online to look at how much things cost. It would have been about $15,000. Of course, insurance covers usually maybe 80% or something like that for people who have good insurance plans inside the U.S. But what they would have charged me would have been about $15,000. What I got charged in the hospital for 3 days, all those things, came out to about $500 US. That was what my charge was there. So again, trade-offs. But when I always recommend, and when people ask me, these are my pre-existing condition, things that I have, I always say, if you have pre-existing and you have health concerns that are serious, I recommend against it. Now, if you have maybe a slight disability or something like that, it's fine, because the nice thing about the Philippines is you can hire someone to be like a personal assistant to you, and it's very, very affordable. Exactly. And tell you, some of the care, and you will see this around the world, some of the best healthcare people, or somebody that in assisted care, basically is what I think they call it, are Filipinos. They will they understand, they empathize with your situation, and I don't think you will find any that you can have it done better than here inside the Philippines. So for you, that's a big plus for you if you're considering doing this.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys, and then what they're called, I think around here anyway, it's called caretakers, but the local people, my yaya. Let me yaya, Y-A-Y-A, yaya. Gloria has a yaya, but she's very rebellious. And the yaya, the caretaker, loves Gloria, wants to take care of her, and she's a registered nurse too. Like Gloria said, I don't like people hanging around me. I want to be, independent. But I would not hesitate to get a caretaker. When the time comes. Yeah.
So there was a question. It actually came from Gerard, be our neighbor across the street from here. On the chat, he goes by I think Steelman 58. I just want to briefly talk about Gerard and his wife V real quick, because they're going to be built right. They're going to be my closest neighbor right across. I actually helped him secure that lot over there and hook him up with the builder that's worked design, and we'll be doing the build from what I understand. But Gerard, he's a very methodical and logical person that plans out everything very, very proper. So we're going to be vlogging his house build, and it's going to be it's probably going to be the most, I think people are really going to join in on that one. We're going to do more, not quite as much as we did here day to day on Villa Feliz, but we're going to get into the down and dirty. It's very convenient for me because it's right across over here. He is doing something I've never seen anybody do. He is building a elevator inside his house. He's doing a basement den. I don't want to give too much away. This is going to be an incredible build. Very Western, modernized built here inside the Philippines with features that you probably don't normally see. But he's going to have a elevator that goes from the second floor off the ground level, which basically makes it 3 stories. So he's thinking about his old age, because I already know me walking up the basement to our second story upstairs where our bedroom is. It's starting to take its toll on me, and I kind of wish I would have thought this out. I'm lucky for us. Yeah, luckily we have a very nice bedroom on the ground floor. Right, if we ever want to convert that into a master bedroom, it's really nice with vaulted ceilings and all inside there. But anyway, Gerard was asking the question, and it had to do with for you, Art. This is direct to you, and Gerard wants to know when you were visiting the Philippines as somebody that might need some access for, like in the U.S. there are standards. We have codes for people for ramps to get into building. People have wheelchairs, or how will experience as a pedestrian with sidewalks or lack thereof of these type of conveniences while you were here?
Well, I didn't find it too much of a burden. I use crutches to get around, and I could go up stairs pretty well. And I know in the Philippines they don't have ramps that go down to the street. You have to step up on the curb and walk in. It wasn't a huge deal. The only thing that surprised me was when I was going from Batangas to Puerto Galera, getting onto the boat, because you got that narrow plank going up to the boat, and I'm trying to make my way up there, and one of the guys on the boat, he just grabbed me, picked me up, and carried me on up there, and I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, I'm not a ton of bricks, but I'm not a lightweight either. But I thought that was very nice.
Great. I'm telling you, the people here will totally go out of your way. And I got to tell you, I have to share this. And I might have talked about it in different episodes in the past. I'm gonna have to close this up. So I didn't realize it would go this long.
I know.
I'm having such a good time with the two. I really am. And what we'll do is we'll end up. You guys are willing to come back again. We'll come in. We'll do this again if the folks kind of like this format. Sure. And we'll try a little bit shorter. But for you, Bud, as a foreigner in the Philippines, my experience has been, I kind of feel you're treated very special when you come inside the Philippines. And it has to do with the culture here. In Art, you visited up here. You talked to people assisting with you, carrying you to get you back and forth. I know the nature of the people here. I'm not saying that it's different, totally different anywhere around the world. Say you see more of this kindness. I'm about kindness on the channel. You find that the people are extremely kind over here, go way out of their way. I tell you, it all brings me to tears sometimes, especially during Christmas when we do our events. When carrying with the Rotary Club, when we do the Santa, I do Santa thing in the barangay here, giving out gifts to the children and the families. When you go and you visit people's houses, and they live very modest houses, it might be a nipa hut, a very small nipa hut, and there's gaps between the ceiling and the wall this big, and it's not anything like that. And the people here just invite you into their homes, and no matter what, if one piece of food inside their refrigerator, if they have a refrigerator, that food is offered to you. The kindness is overwhelming here inside the country, and that's one of the other reasons I want to call the Philippines home. Well, anyway, guys, I'm going to close this up. I got to tell you, I've had so much fun here. Let me tell you what my expectation was. My expectation was if I make it through 30 minutes of a live stream right here, I was going to be happy. I've looked at our live stream, but I looked at the stream that usually, and it went over 2 hours. It seems like people get to chatting sometimes, and it just kind of like how can people do 2 hours? But it went by so quick. We're going on 2.5 hours, and I think in the future I'm going to have to try to compress this and have a little bit of a limit. Before anybody have any specific question, at the end, maybe you asked it before and we missed it. I'm going to give you like throw it inside, and we'll try to answer it. And if we don't get any more questions, we're going to close out for today. But to the both of you, I want to thank you so much for today. I hope the little challenges that we had wasn't
Well,
too
no.
overwhelmed. Yeah, we'll continue. I'll continue the test, and I'll go offline, and maybe we can practice and do these things. Oh, you, Bud, you're talking about you're not. We haven't done this, but you're not technical. You didn't even. You were going to be able to make it into this chat today. With you, the start intro to yours when you beam me up, Scotty, and stuff like that.
Oh, that was good.
I think you're really you're more technical than you are willing to admit. Anyway, Lamar says next one. I don't know when the next one is. I want to look and try to grab some good people to bring, like the two folks that most graciously accepted my invitation for today, and maybe I'll do what art. I don't know. I'm willing to. Maybe I'll throw out some links out there. If there's people waiting wings, we'll bring them live
There you go.
even if we might do something like that in the future. Why don't we what about water landing story? Water landing story. Was there
Electric fence alarm.
electric fan? Where's that? What's it about electric?
Michael and Eileen and
Do you recommend an electric fan? Okay, I'm gonna post this on here, and maybe Bud. My fingers are too fast. No, that's not the one. Here it is, right here. Do you recommend a lens alarm setup? Not for us here. I don't know about you down there, Bud. Not for us here in a gated community. Definitely not. As a matter of fact, we can't do like Bud. Bud has, what did you say, an 8-foot tall fence? Our concrete hollow block, our HOA restriction, we can't go up 2 meter, a little over a foot high. Then you have a little bit more for your steel fence above that, up to maximum, I think, of 2 meters, but 1.2. And I don't know many people that have the ends. Go ahead, Bud.
Well, I was just going to say, when I first got here, I was a little bit paranoid. Sir, can we help you? No, stand back. I don't need any help. I can do it myself. I don't want anybody close to me. And I know to put my wallet in a secret place. You're not going to get me. And then, over the years, relax. So now, I don't. I'm really not. Maybe I'm ignorant and maybe I'm naive, but I'm relaxed and I'm having a good time and I'm not paranoid about somebody going to. One person asked me, "Aren't you afraid some teenagers are going to come up and grab your camera while you're filming?" I said, that thought never entered my mind. So, we all have our level of risk, I guess. And I've been here about 9 years now, and nothing bad has ever happened. But, you have to be aware. Use common sense, naturally. But electric fence, that never entered my mind.
Yeah. Nope. Well, there goes James.
I scared him away.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, I do have a fishing channel called Art's Place Fishing. So if anybody's interested in that, and I have that, and
well, I know some fishermen here. And
you do?
That's the thing. So, I'm not a fisherman, but I know the fishermen, when they're into fishing, they're into it. So they would be very, and I got my little notepad here, as is my custom, and I'm going to write that down. So, Art's fishing?
Art's Place Fishing channel.
Art's Place Fishing. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give that to my buddies.
There you go. Yeah, and that's one of the things I would like to learn about is fishing in the Philippines. As a matter of fact, when I was there in 2017, I did a little bit of fishing at Puerto Galera. Didn't catch anything, but I had a great time out on the water. As a matter of fact, I have a video of that, and I believe it's on Art's Place Fishing.
All righty. Very good. Hey, welcome back, James.
Well, again,
Rude left us.
I think it's going to take a little bit of time for my video to sink in like I did last one, but I just want to get back in, and I want those out. So There was a question. I don't know if my video is going to sync up automatically by itself. So, do you hear me okay with the audio?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what I'm gonna let the video try to, and I think I know what the problem on my computer has crashed. I'm looking at the computer. I have a monitoring. You can monitor your CPU and all.
Right.
And it's 58C, and that's like really high. I think the highest it ever goes over 1. So I'm going to attribute that to having 2 really hot guests for my and that's why. But I just want to read one question, and this is really important. We should save this for another, but we'll do it today. Do foreigners have any legal right to hold home builders accountable when they fail to complete work? By Wes Harp. Wes Harp asked that question, and the answer to that is yes, absolutely. Have as much rights over here. If you have a visa, if you have a resident visa, and you have right to live here and you have rights to build, even if the spouse is the one who is on the title, you have the same legal rights you do basically in the U.S. And I can only compare it to the U.S. because most of the legal code in the Philippines are based on U.S. legal code. It's almost word for word. And I think Bud can probably confirm that as well. So yes, you can. On the other side, I have to talk a little bit about the other side. Sometimes it can be a challenge, and it could be costly, which is why, which is why in our, I see my video finally caught up, which is why we still reserve the right. I don't know what the statute of limitation is, because if you follow our series, our builder at very end, he didn't fulfill obligation. Or not, Gerard probably, when he finishes his build, will have his build finished before Villa Feliz is done. Feliz still isn't complete. We still in our contract. We have closets that were supposed to be built. I paid for closets. I built for so many things. The kitchen, if you've seen my videos with the island, I paid to build that inside here. Yet I went to a professional, because what he had was not quality. What after reviewed the bill of material, very quality, compared to going to professional builders. Actually, these were built in China and shipped over. It's with quartz islands at the top. But I paid for this out of my, yet the builder, after I already paid him, he never reimbursed for what I, and I won't go into the amount but he not only didn't fulfill his obligation to build those or credit me for others for that, he didn't even finish the build, left before the build was complete. So if you watch my videos, you see I completed those on my own. But then I had to make a decision to chat. Go into the court, and that's a personal thing for to make a decision on that. I weighed it out. I was in the financial situation that I thought to myself, if I do that, I'm going to be spending a lot more money, and I don't really know that. I know my legal rights. You don't know how long it's going to. Maybe there's not even building anymore, or something like that. So you have to really weigh a lot of things. And right now, the way I reserve the right to do that if I want to continue doing that. Anyway, what's out? Okay. Anyway, we're going to close. Again, we've gone right here in 33 minutes. The length we will do it here in the near future. I don't know, but we'll bring it back up again. All right. Thank you, Bud, for seeing this.
Having me.
And thanks for, like, when I died with the computer, you guys hung in there. Kind of cool to know that the session is still going. And thanks. I want to thank my lovely wife for for answering a lot of people's questions inside. And we will do this again. Please come back and join me again in an upcoming live stream event like this.
Will do.
Anyway, Okay. Well, anyway, to all of you, our audience here, come from close by and long away around the globe. Thank you very much for joining us here today. Again, his channel, I showed his for his drone, Artco, and Bud has a great channel too. If you just want to know what it's like on your activities inside the Philippines, down in we're in Luzon, and Bud is in Visaya, down in Dumaguete. Take opportunity to see both these guys' channel. Guys, again, I'm going to close out here, and we will see you next time. So until next time, wonderful and blessed day.